What's going on, everybody? I'm Nick Hamilton here. Welcome to another episode of the NH Experience with my special guest. This man has defined LA radio and the West Coast in a whole different term. He is one half of Homegrown Radio with him and DJ Head. He started out in his apartment and grew to what can I say, the corporate office, as they say, uh, doing great things on radio, doing great things with the community, always staying in tune. Carson's own, the one and only Chuck Dizzle, ladies and gentlemen. What's
Nick
going on, Chuck?
Hamilton, man, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for having me on first and foremost, and I appreciate all the kind words. And even when you just say stuff like that, it's weird to hear it because I remember literally like starting Homegrown years back, and to see how everything's evolved over the years is it's a blessing, bro.
No, it is, man. And I think what people don't understand is that, and that's something I want to talk to you about more in depth, is the fact of you being able to take those steps, to take, I don't consider them lessons, I mean losses, but lessons,
Absolutely.
but what you went through, obviously starting at Long Beach State. So you can talk a little bit about how you started at Long Beach State, and then how did you get the idea for Homegrown, and then some of the trials and tribulations that you had to go through to get to the point where you are today, all that Real 92.3 and iHeartRadio.
Well, I mean, the idea really came from, like you said, it wasn't really losses. I looked at them as losses early on, but it wasn't losses; it was lessons. I always wanted to do radio. That was like a passion of mine since the age of 10. So, long ass story short, I finally got an opportunity to work for a station, which was 100.3 The Beat, and to get an opportunity to work there, I had to do an internship through my college station, which is at K Beach Radio, and I had the experience of doing college radio, but obviously the idea was to be on terrestrial radio. And when I got there, did an internship, was lucky enough to get hired to the promotion department. And um, in that experience of working in promotions, I found like the real deal of radio. And when I was out in them streets, a lot of people was like, "Yo, can you play my songs? Can you play my music?" I'm like, "Oh no, but I know the DJs up there. I'll slide your music to them or whatever." So we would go back from these promotional hits on the street team, and I would bring people CDs to the station. And one day I was cleaning out one of the buckets. If people don't know, like promotions departments, they have buckets that they take the promotional items out in the
Mhm.
streets. So you have your keychains, T-shirts, all these items, and you dump them out for later on. Well, I found out like there was a cabinet to the side, and all the CDs that I had given to the on-air DJs at the time, they were in this bucket. Nobody was listening to the music, and I'm like, oh damn. So it doesn't work like that. You have some people
Right.
that will listen. Shouts to the homie DJ Dents, and shouts out to the homie Cat Dog, and a lot of other people that paved the way for me back in the day. Like really got my foot in the door and helped me out. Nautica De La Cruz, a lot of other people, but they didn't necessarily have the power to play the music. So, and I didn't know that. So I was like, well, I'm not only doing this, I'm working in promotions, but I'm also, doing college radio. I was like, you know what? All right, next person to give me that music, I'll just play some of that stuff on my college station and kind of rock with theirs.
Mhm.
So the name didn't really start as Homegrown. It was like some BS name that I had back in the day. But at the time I was also producing, believe it or not. So I was,
Okay.
dibbling, dabbling, and making beats. It wasn't really that good. Everybody tried their little thing as far as rapping, so I was doing that. But the name of my studio of my production company was Homegrown Studio Sounds, and
Mm.
it was because it was in my mom's room, like literally in my house. So I was like, damn, I kind of like the idea of like using that name Homegrown because it's these artists that I'm meeting out in the streets. It's local. I mean, and it just really the name kind of birthed from that. So at the time, I just switched the name to the show that I had to Homegrown Radio, and that started at Long Beach State. A couple like about a year or some change into it. I meet a dude. One of my homeboys actually was like, "Man, you know this dude by the name of Head, right?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know Head. He hosts a lot of these shows. He used to always be on the mic, and he wasn't even a DJ at the time. So he was just,
Okay.
I was like, oh, I know the homie Head. Yeah, I know the homie Head. I know him from this, that. I see him on, you know, mixed nuts and all these other flyers and parties that were going down back in the day. And the homie's like, well, I'm gonna bring him up. I think you guys should meet. So he connected us. Rest in peace to the homie Smart. So he connected me and Head. Head was doing radio over at Cerritos College, and I was doing over radio over at Long Beach State. So we made the connection. Head came through to Long Beach State and brought Glasses Malone. And it was just from there, I knew it was like a dope ass relationship from the homie. And when we decided to start doing it in the apartment, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start bringing, because at the time I was like, I'd already graduated, so I was like finessing my way through Long Beach State. I wasn't even supposed to have a key card and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'm actually transitioning to take this to the house. And Head had already told me, he was like, when we met, he was like, man, we on the same kind of wave as far as what we're doing. He's like, if you need any help, let me know. So I gave him a call. I'm like, yo, I'm thinking about doing it at the crib. And I know you at this point he was starting to DJ. So I'm like, if you can just control the music, I was like, and let me host, I'm good. Like, just DJ and I'll do the talking and we go from there. And he came one week and never left. And that was like the inception of Homegrown Radio from the apartment. And, you know, it was really known at the time of like, damn, okay, we can't get our songs played on the radio, but we know on a Thursday night we can pull up to Chuck's crib in Inglewood. His wife gonna be cooking. Everybody knew Head already as well, and everybody knew me. So it was like, oh, you guys connected together now? Oh, this is crazy for sure. And then we just built relationships over the years like that.
No, that's amazing, man. Talk a little bit about how important those relationships are, because I think a lot of people kind of gloss over that or think it's just gonna magically appear. And you guys really put in the legwork and the footwork, both of you and Head.
Yeah.
In addition to your lovely wife, obviously,
absolutely,
putting that together, and that was important. But with you two especially, how are you all able to build those relationships and cultivate them, and then also start to build out a team of people to continue Homegrown Radio?
I mean, we were all looking for a chance, believe it or not. I mean, again, Head wanted to do terrestrial radio. I wanted to do terrestrial radio. I had the opportunity to do it a little earlier than him, but I knew the ups and downs of having to deal with it and what came with it. So when we started mapping out Homegrown, I'm like, all right, you know, I already know at this point, you never know who somebody's going to be from one day to the next, from an artist to a DJ to whoever. So for me, we were all just linking up, and it's like, what are you contributing? What are you doing? Are you tight? You know, in terms of music, are you good as far as, you know, your skill capability? I mean, that was for me. I never looked at anybody as weak. You know what I mean? I think that helped me out earlier on, because, you know, a lot of people were developing at the time. And just to kind of go on how important the relationships are, you know, while I was doing an internship at the Beat at the time, I remember leaving an event. And this is while I was still doing college radio, but I was leaving one of the events at the station, and I'm on my way out. And on the way, while I'm walking out, there's, you know, people always come to the station to meet the program directors, music directors, have meetings and things of that nature, drop off their CDs or whatever. So you're always running into people. And in the lobby, I see somebody on the way down. They're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "I'm on the street team." I'm just kind of explaining what I do. I'm out on the streets. I work with, you know, sometimes a morning show. I do just explaining what I do. Right. Oh, okay, we got an artist that we just met with. We met with Tawala Sharp. Salute to him. He was the one that put me on air on the Beat. He was like, we just had a meeting with Tawala, who was the music director at the time of the Beat. I just had a meeting with Tawala. You know, I'd just love you to check my artists out. I was like, all right. I was like, I'll take your seat. And they was like, here he is right here. So I'm like, how you doing, man? Nice to meet you, Chuck Dizzle. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah. I was like, well, I actually do. I was like, I do radio at Long Beach State. So I'd love to just, you know, check out your music, see what you got going on. They was like, oh yeah, for sure. Take my chirp down. We all exchanging chirps at the time, right? So lo and behold, that person that I met in the lobby was Top Dog and Punch. And it was Punch, Top Dog, shout out to B and J Rock. And they were all leaving this meeting. And this is when he was having his Warner situation. He was kind of going with that. So I'm like, yeah, I'll take the information, like whatever. And I leave or whatever. And they come down to Long Beach State and I interview J Rock, and that relationship blossomed my relationship with early TDE. So the next time that they came through, they were like, oh yeah, we got other artists too. We're going to bring this dude by the name of Ab Soul and K-Dot. For sure, bring them on. And if you look, there's YouTube videos of like early TDE before Schoolboy was a part of it. You know what I'm saying? When Ali didn't have hair, you know, just all that. He was actually the cameraman filming their freestyle that they did on my radio show back when we was at Long Beach State. So I say that to say I could have easily been like, who are y'all? Like, nah, whatever. Like, I'm on the radio station. You know what I'm saying? I work for the Beat and kind of dismissed them. But I knew the importance of like, yo, these young dudes are trying to do something. Whether I didn't even hear their music at that time. And then obviously I pressed play on the way home, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of like, this is dope, because they gave me J-Rock's first demo. It's funny, his demo didn't even had, I don't even think his name was spelled R-O-C-K, it was just R-O-K. I think it was J-A, I think it was J-A-E or J-A-I. It was something, it was spelled completely different. My point is, you just never know who somebody's gonna be. Obviously, we know TDE is the, you know, the mega house of hip hop at this point, you know, the label. But that was the importance. And same thing with any artist that I dealt with around the time. You just never know who they were gonna be. And I think people saw that, whether they blew up or not, people saw how genuine, you know, I was, or how genuine Head was as far as being authentic with his perspective and letting you know if he likes or doesn't like it. And people respected that earlier on. And the idea of me opening up my home, like with my wife cooking in the other room, a lot of people saw that. They were like, oh, snap. Like when TDE, it was one of the first interviews we did. They all came to the house. Kendrick, Schoolboy, Absol, J-Rock, Soundwave, Punch. I think everybody a part of TDE except for Top at the time, because he was, you know, going through his situation. But everybody was in my living room at that time. My wife was cooking, and I'm set up like in a makeshift in my living room. So I think they just respected that at the time, and I think that helped when they started to blow up. They were like, yo, no, them dudes was the ones that were supporting us from jump. You know what I mean? And that's why relationships are important. And when you have people around you, whether it's somebody that you're supporting or somebody that you believe in as far as a team, you bring them in and kind of see what they're capable of and give them a chance to fly. And, you know, if it works out, great. If not, they'll still see like, damn, you gave me an opportunity. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely, man. I mean, you look at, I mean, I've watched you guys for a long time. And I finally got a chance to finally meet you guys in person. Which was really cool. Both of you guys, man, down to earth brothers, man. I respect tremendously what you guys have accomplished and what you guys have done. When you look at all the bells and whistles that you had to go through.
And even a part of the team, I want to kind of touch on that as well. Like Sparkle, she was fresh out of college. The homie Brian Salas, who, you know, he's our, you know, pretty much our liaison, does a lot of work for HomeGrown, manages myself and DJ Head. He was coming off of a situation with him at the time, and he was like, hey, do you mind if I just pull up to the crib and see what you guys are doing? I'm like, hell yeah. And that manifested his relationships and a lot of the things that he's doing. But he saw a young girl on Twitter. That sounded kind of crazy, but he saw somebody, he saw Sparkle, a college student, let's put it like that, on Twitter, just really kind of going in about the music, making like different connections with a lot of the local scene. He was like, I think I want to bring this girl by to see what she, you know, what she wants to do. She's graduated from college. She just got a degree from UCLA. She kind of doesn't know what she wants to do. You mind if she just helps out? I'm like, yeah. And fast forward, that's the general manager of HomeGrown Radio. That's our backbone. We wouldn't be shit without Sparkle. But again, it goes to just giving somebody an opportunity and letting them, you know, fly. And I think that's how a lot of our relationships manifested over the years and really grew, was just by, hey man, you know what you're doing, or you don't know what you're doing, you want an opportunity, go ahead. Because nobody really gave us the opportunities. We had to figure it out. So it was always important for myself and for Head to like just give people opportunities and see what happens, see how it worked out. And it's, you know, worked out to our benefit over the years.
Yeah, it's definitely paid off in your favor. The one thing I will say, when you think about Carson, California, I mean, think about obviously Absol, you think about Reason. Back in the day when I used to listen to Rockets mixtapes.
Wow.
Bishop Lamont. So many people that have come out of Carson. But I feel like you have been that voice that's been steady. And you have been that voice. You and Head have been those voices that have been steady. And like I told you, I think I said this to you guys. I don't know if it was social media or I think I just told you guys in passing, but I said you and Head to me remind me of the Theo and Julio G of our time. Because the impact that you guys have, not just on music, but especially the West Coast, because you get a lot of DJs that, you know, they do their thing, they bubble and they move on. And it's like LA is forgotten about, or they don't try to push, no pun intended, homegrown talent in Los Angeles and in the entire West Coast. So what made it so unique that you guys wanted to focus on West Coast talent?
I think for number one, if I can speak from my perspective, and I know Head has a different agenda and a different, and I'm pretty sure I can weigh on his opinion as well. But for me, I love the music. Like I worked at the Carson Community Center for 18 years. You know what I'm saying? And a part of it, shout out to my Samoan homies, like we would also always listen to this West Coast shit. They was the ones that put me up on Dub CNN. Like, yo, you know about this music format? And I'm the music person. They're like, hey, you know about this, you know, this music site? And they were the first ones to tell me about Game and all. I'm like, oh shit, like they put me on. So we had a love for just West Coast hip hop. So I always, even from the early days of doing Homegrown from Long Beach State, that was a part of my playlist. Like I would rarely have current music. It was really all classic West Coast shit. And thankfully at the time, a lot of artists were bubbling from the city. So I was like, oh, I can actually interview and play that music, and there people that people will be interested in, at least from our region, or at least the people at my job. I was really at this point concerned with pleasing the people at my job. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew they love West Coast hip hop, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I got Glasses Malone." They'd be like, "What? For real? Oh yeah, we're gonna tune in, or we're gonna pull up." Like, and I think that's what it came from, just a love of the music. And then for two, like we understood how hard it was for these cats to get a shot. Like people don't understand, like there was no real opportunities for these artists to do venues, do shows like that, get radio spins, get radio play. So it was like, all right, whatever I can do. And I don't care if these artists get bigger and move on, that's fine. Because there's gonna be another artist that's coming up and trying to get that same look. So I always felt like our platform was important of such that, you know what, no matter what, we're gonna be a voice for somebody. You know what I mean? And somebody's gonna be able to hear it, and we're gonna be able to feel that void for somebody, and we'll always have an audience for that. You know what I mean? There's all, no matter what you look at, underground will always have an audience. Somebody's going to always be considered slept on or underground. If you always look to, all right, well, we'll serve that audience in that community, you'll never go wrong.
Absolutely. Talk to me about the time that you finally got the green light that Homegrown Radio has now been put on an even larger platform with connected with Real 92.3 and iHeartRadio and the iHeartMedia conglomerate.
It was a blessing, and it was one of those things. Shouts out to Doc, shouts out to AO, shouts out to Fuzzy, and of course shouts out to Head, because Head actually got hired first at iHeart. And I just remember when Real came, I'd already had my experience at terrestrial radio, so I was okay if that wasn't for me. That door didn't open in that for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'm giving him the game. Like, all right, this is what you want to do. This is how you want to put your air check together. This is how you present it. Da, 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 da. And in doing that, you know, I want to say he said Big Boy heard my audition, was like, hey, yo, we should bring him on. End up getting me on. And even at that point, it was just like, okay, I'm on the radio, which is great. That's a blessing. I'm back on the LA radio. Great. But to get that call of like, it was so like low key, but I just got the call. Doc hit me, was like, hey, Chuck, I got Head on speakerphone right now. Doc Winter, yeah. He's like, hey, I'm at work, by the way. I'm at my job, my 9 to 5. And matter of fact, when I got hired and this happened, I was at my job. I got a call. Matter of fact, Head hit me. He's like, yo, you're going to get a call. Pick up. Like, all right, pick up. It's like, hey, Chuck, it's Doc. I'm like, what's up? He's like, yeah, man, we see what you and Head been doing with Homegrown. You know, we love the YouTube interviews and what you guys are doing. We're going to put you guys on Saturday night. Like, what? Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was Sunday night, the first time. Sunday night. Yeah, it's Sunday at 7 o'clock. You guys gonna be on. Whoa. All right, cool. Click. Get online with Head, like, yo, this is crazy. And literally to this day, every time we touch that mic, every time we go on, we're like, yo, we're really on LA radio. This is a trip. So I mean, it's just one of those dream come true moments, man.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. I think it's very inspiring to people that want to be in radio of any caliber. I think they watch you too, especially you, Chuck, because one of the things I will say about you personally, I've run into you on different occasions. I've run into you at the movie theater.
Yeah.
And you will stop. I mean, Chuck, you're like, oh, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah.
Get on to your seat. You know what I mean? And you don't find a lot of people in you all's position that will stop and talk to the people. I mean, I've seen you guys out and about. You know, we were, unfortunately, you know, the last time that we were all together was 3 weeks before brother Nipsey Hussle was assassinated, and but it was during a great time.
Good time celebrating the opening. Oh no, it was the paper plane thing.
Paper planes, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it was so many people coming out, man, and it was like it was just such a good vibe and such a good energy out there where everybody was getting along. There was no issues.
Yeah,
you know, everybody wasn't ego tripping. It was just something that was just a great moment. I wish we really one of those moments that you kind of just can captivate and just hold on to. But how is it, man, being with, you know, Big Boy, who's a legend? You got Jay Cruz over there in the Cruz show, and now you all, and then, you know, with Head and yourself with Homegrown Radio and how that's bubbling. and then you guys got the fresh podcast that you guys do every week, still
Yeah.
regardless of the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's great to work with Big Boy first and foremost because you know everything that you think of, he's that and some. Like charismatic, funny, willing to give you gems, and it's like you look at somebody that you grew up listening to, and at least for me, the way I looked at it, I'm like, damn, I'm actually in the same room with dude. I'm actually sharing stories with them. All right. So for me, I turn into instant sponge mode. I try to do less talking when it comes to stuff like that because I take it real serious. And that's just my personality. I'm like, okay, this man has been able to decades in, you know, and the things that I've extracted from him is like he's the same way on and off that mic. You know, minus maybe some cussing here and there. Like you would never know, like that's a different person. Like he's not a different person at all. And one thing that I take from him also is like when he's on the streets, every single person, picture, photo, he stops for everybody. I don't care if he's with his family. I don't care if he's solo. I saw him mobbing through the Nickerson Gardens, taking pictures of every single person. See him at station events, festivals. He's the same way and gives people that time. And I think that speaks to his legacy. But for me, just looking back at it, I turn into student mode. I'm just like, all right, how is he doing this? What is he doing? People, you know, so for me, I always look, it's a great and humbling experience, but I'm also just like, all right, how? What is okay? Boom. How can I apply that to myself? Like I'm just instant student mode. The homie Jay Cruz, man, he's got such just a great personality and just great energy.
Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody who we looked at as the enemy. You know what I'm saying? To be perfectly honest. And I come from an old school radio mentality of like, it's never on site. It's never real problems, but it's like, we're not worried about what they're doing because we focus on what we're doing. So it wasn't like, oh, we're studying his moves and all this other stuff. But it's like, we see each other at the Kingdom Day Parade. Oh, there's Cruz over there for sure. What's up? Like if he wants to, hey, we shake hands. If not, it's all good. But the first thing when we first met, when he first got to the station, was like, it's like, man, I respect what y'all do. And I was like, damn, I respect what you do too. It was like, it's crazy. So it's just one of those things where when you're in a building with all this great talent, first and foremost, and then it matches up with great personality and great energy, it's nothing more you can ask for. You know, I've been a part of a couple of different radio stations, and for me, I felt like this experience is by far the best in the sense of I've got a chance to learn a little longer. You know, with the beat, it was more of nostalgia. Like it was more of me wanting to get into the business and being green and being envy. When I worked for K-Day for a little bit, it was so quick. I didn't get a chance to really like absorb it. It was only like a year and some change. And for this, it's happened a little longer. So I've got a chance to see the ups and downs, you know, the transitions, you know, the different times, like even with ourselves, like with HomeGrown going from one time position to a different time position and dealing with the different politics in radio itself and still being able to maintain, like, I feel like I've gotten the best experience this go round versus the other times. You know what I'm saying? And having people around there and having my partner being a part of this as well, like, and having him bringing me in, it's just the best experience, man. I hate to sound cliche about it, but it's really a dream come true.
No, man, you know what? I respect you wholeheartedly. I definitely have to get you on later on once this pandemic kind of calms down. We start to get back to this new normal. Definitely would love to have
Hey,
you
man,
on.
this is the new normal. Now, I salute you for doing this because,
Thank you, man.
to be perfectly honest, it's like this is what it's. This is where it's at. You have to learn how to shift and pivot. And when we were doing HomeGrown in the apartment, we knew we didn't have like the best equipment, or you know, we weren't going to be heard over, you know, terrestrial radio, but we made a brand for ourselves, and we worked with what we got. And right now, that's the advice I would give to everybody that's in media, that's doing radio, that wants to be on radio. Man, work with what you got. We have the tech. If we had this back then, oh my God, we were broadcasting the videos from on Ustream. The quality was horrible. You know what I mean? The connection was bad. Like, and we had a flip cam as our main studio camera. So, and all I'm saying is that you use what you got. So this is the new norm. This is what you can build off of. And we're going to talk about these times like, damn, remember when the pandemic was going on? We had to figure it out. And I'm sure you probably busting out just as many interviews as you did before as you're doing now, probably even more because of people's time now. You know what I mean?
No question. I think it's something that it's an adjustment period.
Yeah.
I think it's it's definitely you have to adapt, but I think you also have to adjust, especially everything that's going on. I'm taking care of personal business, when you're
Yeah.
taking care of other business, and I'm sure uh, you're doing the same thing with you and your wife, and now baby Dizzle, who's
Yep.
out
I'm
there
in his
bubbling
room
as
right
well.
now.
Oh,
Literally, I had to reconvert my office from his room.
hey, hey, brother, I have a 6-year-old, so I totally understand
Yep.
when it comes down to it. Um, Definitely would love to have you and your wife on the show again at some point down the line, because I would love to see how you guys, get to cultivate each other
It's gonna be
relationship
interesting trying
wise.
to make her talk because I'm trying to get her on it a lot more. I'm like, yo, babe, people are interested in your story. You got to talk to
But
people.
let her know I definitely want her on as a guest along with yourself. So let
Okay,
her know I can try to get her to talk, man.
I'll do that. I'll do
I
that.
can't promise nothing, but I'll try to get her to talk, man.
Hey, that's fair. Fair enough.
I want some of those cookie secrets now. So you gotta let her get on, man.
I
But
got you.
thank you so much for taking time out, brother. I really appreciate you coming on. And let everybody know where they can follow you on social media and keep up with all the great work at Homegrown Radio.
At Chuck Dizzle everywhere, at Homegrown Radio. Just keep it locked. We definitely have different podcasts that are going up. We're adjusting to this just as everybody is. And it's hard for me to promote a lot of the stuff that I do. So just stay connected to at Chuck Dizzle everywhere. Just find me on social media. You'll be able to catch me and know exactly what's going on.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the NH Experience. And we'll
Yes.
definitely talk to you soon, man. We'll definitely continue to support.
Love, bro. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, man. Talk to you soon.